Right guys, let us start on with revision of rectification of errors. By rectification we mean to correct something, right, or to rectify something, and by error we mean a mistake. But please remember, when we are referring to a mistake, we refer to an unintentional mistake which has been done in the process of accounting. If you have been making mistake intentionally, let's say you had a fight with your supervisor or your boss, and then, right, as a revenge you started posting incorrect entries or inappropriate entries in the books of accounts, those will not be treated, right, as an error. Those will be treated as fraud because you are making an intentional mistake. So whenever we are looking at the definition of error, please remember that an error is an unintentional mistake, right? An error is an unintentional mistake which could be in form of an omission or it could be in form of a commission. When we talk about omission, right, omission could be of two forms, right? Either a complete omission or a partial omission. Omission means we altogether forgot to record the entry in the books of accounts. That will be treated as complete omission. Or maybe we posted one side of the entry in the books of account and another side of the entry is not posted in the books of account. That will be treated as a partial omission. Or commission. Whenever we talk about commission, we are referring to human errors or clerical errors. Maybe you selected an incorrect account and you posted it in the incorrect account. Your totaling of the ledger was wrong, your balancing was wrong, you posted the wrong amount to the ledger, etc. Right? Those will be treated as commission, and these will be done in the accounts or amounts, right, in the process of accounting. So an error is an unintentional mistake, right, which could be in form of an omission or a commission, right, in the accounts or amounts, right, in the process of recording a transaction in the books of accounts. Now we will talk about types of errors. We can divide the errors into four categories: error of principle, error of omission, error of commission, and compensating error. First we will talk about error of principle. Error of principle is such an error, right, which is in contravention of the accounting principle. When your concept about accounting is not correct, when you choose an incorrect account head while debiting and crediting a particular let's say transaction, right, that will be treated as an error of principle. The best example could be, let's say, wages paid for construction of building, right? So the correct entry in this case is building account debit to cash, but if your concept about the capitalization of fixed assets, etc., is not clear, right, you would pass an entry wages account debit to cash account, right? This entry wages to cash will be in contravention of accounting principle because you were not supposed to use the wages account, but you were supposed to use the building account. So this will be treated as an error of principle. So error of principle is caused because of contravention of accounting principles when you select an incorrect account head, right? Now we'll talk about impact of each of these errors on the trial balance, right? See, trial balance is based on the double entry system of accounting where there's a debit and credit equal, right? You pass the equal and opposite debit and credit. So till the time the debit and credit is equal, the trial balance will not mismatch. So in case of error of principle, you are using an incorrect account nomenclature or account head, but the amount of debit and credit is equal, and therefore the trial balance will not mismatch in case of an error of principle. So in case of error of principle, there will be no impact on the trial balance. Then we'll talk about error of omission, right? Omission means you forgot to record an entry in the books of accounts, or you partially recorded an entry. One side of the entry is recorded, other side of the entry is not recorded. So we have complete omission and we have partial omission. Complete omission, the entire journal entry or the entire transaction is omitted to be recorded in the books of accounts. In case of partial omission, one part of the entry is recorded and the other part of the entry is not recorded. In case of complete omission, see, there is no debit, there is no credit, so there is no impact on the trial balance at all. But in case of a partial omission, right, one side of the entry is recorded and the other side of the entry is not recorded. Maybe the debit side is recorded and the credit is not recorded, or the credit is recorded and the debit is not recorded. So there will be a mismatch, right? This will have an impact on our trial balance. Then we'll talk about error of commission. See, error of commission, as already discussed, these are known as human errors, or these are also known as clerical errors, right? These are caused because of oversight or because of fatigue, etc., right? Human related factors. These could be in the nature of, let's say, you posted in an incorrect account, your totaling of the account is incorrect, the balancing of the account is incorrect, you posted on the wrong side of the ledger, right? These could be an example of error of commission. Now whether the trial balance will match or mismatch will depend upon the nature of the error. Some clerical errors or some errors of commission could be such which may impact the trial balance. some clerical errors could be such which may not impact the trial balance. Then we'll talk about compensating error. See, compensating would means that one thing is compensated by another, right? In this kind of a scenario, what happens generally is that there is one error which is made in the books of accounts, and because of that error there's a mismatch in the trial balance, and then a second error takes place in the books of accounts, and by virtue of this second error, the impact on the trial balance of the first error is compensated, nullified, or let's say squared off, right? And there is no mismatch in the trial balance. We'll take an example that because of the first error there is a mismatch in the trial balance, and there is a second error, the trial balance matches. Let's take an example. Let's say cash account debit to sales account. Cash account is debited by 100 and the sales account is credited by 1000. So we have a debit of 100 and a credit of 1000. There's a mismatch in the trial balance. We make another entry. This entry is also erroneous. Rent to cash. Here rent is debited by 4900 and cash is credited by 4000. So overall total, right, when we add these two transactions, the total of the trial balance is 5000 on both the sides, and since there are two errors, one error has compensated the impact of another error, and these errors will be known as compensating errors. Right? This will also not cause any impact in the trial balance. In case of compensating error also, the trial balance will match. So a quick recap: in case of error of principle, there will be no impact on the trial balance. In case of error of omission, complete omission, no impact. Partial omission, it will impact the trial balance. In case of error of commission, it depends upon the nature of the error. Some nature could be such that it could impact the trial balance. Some error could be such that it may not impact the trial balance. Compensating error will have no impact on the trial balance. Now we'll talk about the stages of detection of the error. See, in the accounting process, right, there's known as a review system, right? Review system would means continuously checking the books of accounts to ensure that the books of accounts are error free, right? So based on the fact that when you locate that error or when you detect that error, right, it could be detected in various phases, right? The three phases in which the error could be detected is the before preparation of trial balance, that is, you are still doing your accounting activity, and while doing your accounting activity you get hold of certain errors or omissions which happened in the accounting process. After preparation of the trial balance, this would mean that your accounting activity is over, you are making your trial balance, and and you have already made your trial balance, and now you have identified certain errors and omission. Please remember that once you make your trial balance, and if there is a mismatch, right, if there is a mismatch in the trial balance, if the debit and credit is not equal, we make a suspense account to temporarily tally the trial balance, and then we look out for the errors or omission, right, and we rectify to square off the suspense account. So what is this suspense account? This suspense account is basically an account of a temporary nature, right? Any difference or mismatch in the trial balance, debit and credit, is temporarily parked in the suspense account, right? Now, what is the nature of this suspense account? See, we generally classify our accounts into personal, real and nominal. So what is the nature of this suspense account? See, suspense account is like water. It takes the shape of the container. Therefore, suspense account basically is a dummy account which is used to compensate or to, let's say, temporarily tally the trial balance. So suspense account could be in the nature of a personal account, real account or nominal account. It represents the account which it is representing in the trial balance, right? And once you have a suspense accounts in your trial balance, the objective of your life should become to identify those errors, and the suspense account should be squared off and taken off from the trial balance. And then the third phase in which you detect your errors is after, in the next financial year, means you prepared your trial balance, your financial statement was finalized, and now you are in the next financial year, and in the next financial year you identify that there were certain errors, right, which you rectify in the next financial year. So the three phases: before preparation of trial balance, after preparation of trial balance, and in the next financial year. See, now on the classification of error, when you talk about before preparation of the trial balance, right, these errors could be divided into two categories, which is a single-sided error and a double-sided error. What is a single-sided error? Single-sided error is basically when there is an error in one account only, right? When there is an error in one account only. For example, let's say we took an example of an entry that that the sale is for rupees 1000. So sale is recorded for 1000, but cash is debited for 100, right? So cash account there is a problem, sales account there is no problem. So there is only error in one account, it will be known as a single-sided error. And in case of single-sided error, right, you cannot pass a complete journal entry to rectify that error because there is problem in only one account. So how do you rectify the single-sided error? The single-sided error will be rectified by passing a rectification statement. You need to record a rectification statement on the appropriate side of the ledger account in which the error has been made, right? As a complete journal entry cannot be made to rectify such error as there is mistake in one account only. And then the double-sided error. Double-sided error means that both the accounts or all the accounts involved in the journal entry have been impacted, right? And you pass a complete journal entry to rectify those errors. Then we talk about after preparation of trial balance. See, after preparation of trial balance, right, there is no single-sided error. Why? Because once you prepare a trial balance, any difference in the trial balance is temporarily parked to a suspense account, right? So now the trial balance is tallied. So even if there is a single-sided error, the offset of that single-sided error is sitting in the suspense account. So any type of error after preparation of trial balance have to be rectified by passing a complete journal entry. Only before preparation of the trial balance, you need to see whether it's a single-sided error or a double-sided error. If it's a single-sided error, you need to pass a rectification statement. You need to record a rectification statement. If it's a double-sided error, complete journal entry. But after preparation of trial balance, right, any difference in the trial balance has been posted to the suspense account and rectification has to be passed by passing a complete journal entry. If it's a double-sided, if it's a single-sided error, right, then the offset account will be the suspense account. You need to use suspense account to rectify those type of errors. Then in the next financial year, see, the method that we use to rectify in the next financial year is absolutely same. No difference. It's absolutely same as after preparation of the trial balance. The only difference is that if in your rectification journal entry, right, if in your rectification journal entry, if there is a nominal account which is involved, right, if in your rectification entry there's a nominal account being involved, you will substitute that nominal account by profit and loss adjustment account. I'll let you know the reason why. See, nominal account would mean income or an expense, right? Either it's an income or it's an expense. Now we are doing rectification of some error or omission which are relating to the prior period, but we are rectifying it in the current period. So if we mix it with the current period income or current period expense, right, it will distort our picture for the current year. It will distort the profitability, it will distort the income, it will distort the expense for the current year. That is why, to reflect them separately, to keep them aside from the current year income and expense, right, we substitute that nominal account with profit and loss adjustment account, right? So these are the stages in which the rectification work is done. Now, before going to the actual rectification work, right, we need to talk about the concept of subsidiary books as well, right, because for ease of accounting purpose, we use several subsidiary books which help us in simplifying our accounting activity. Why do we need to talk about the subsidiary books here is because you need to understand the flow in which the entry passes, because the subsidiary books are the books of primary entry. First, any entry will be recorded in the subsidiary book and then it will be posted to the relevant ledger. So we need to know what is the flow in which the entry passes, because it is important while you're doing the rectification work, you know how that particular thing has been done. Another important concept, right, please concentrate here. Another very, very important concept which I want you people to understand and be absolutely clear about is the concept of recording an entry in the books of accounts and posting the entry to the ledger. See, what is recording? Recording is the first step, right? When you are recording a transaction for the first time in the books of accounts, right, that is known as recording a transaction. And where do you do this recording? You do this recording in your journal, right? Or you do this recording in your, that's a subsidiary book like sales day book, purchase day book, return inwards, return outwards, cash book, right? Bills receivable, bills payable, etc. Right? The recording act is done in the subsidiary books, and then posting. Once the transaction has been recorded, after recording it, you post it in in the particular ledger. Why I am talking about it? Because as we'll go through the example, you will understand the importance and why do we need to differentiate between recording and posting, right? So let us look at the example. We have taken an example of sales day book, and with the help of these examples of sales day book, we will see how the flow of transaction is done while recording it in the sales day book and posting it into the ledger, right? Let's read through this example. Let's say there's a sales day book related entries which have been given on 5th of March 19. Goods sold to Mr. A 50,000 and there's a trade discount of 10%. Goods sold to Mr. B 40,000. Goods sold to Mr. C for cash. See, in sales day book we don't record cash sales, right? Only credit sales are recorded in the sales day book. Therefore, this transaction will not take part of the sales day book. Sold goods to Mr. D 1000 pieces at 100 per piece and sold a part of old furniture for rupees 10,000. See, we only record sale of goods in the sales day book. We don't record the sales of furniture, etc. or fixed asset in our sales day book. Therefore, this transaction will also not form part of our sales day book. Now, let us look at how these entries are recorded in the sales day book. See, for the first transaction on 5th of March 19, Mr. A 50,000 is a trade discount of 10%, so 45,000 is the value of the transaction. Mr. B 40,000, Mr. C is cash sales, it will not be recorded. Mr. D 1000 pieces into 100 per piece, 1 lakh. So total sales for the period of March is 1,85,000. So this is the first step. All credit sales transaction will first be recorded in the sales day book. From sales day book, now we will post these transactions to the relevant ledger account. See, please remember, in the sales account, we will post the total. Please remember, in the sales account, we will post the total of the sales day book. We will not post the individual transactions with the customer in the sales account. The periodic total, right? The periodic total of the sales day book will be posted to the sales account. So 185, so we will say buy sundries. Right, sales for the month of March, 1,85,000 is recorded in the sales account. Then we need to post the individual transaction to the individual customer's account, right? So in the account of A, we will look at what is the value of transaction which has taken place with A, and we will record that transaction. So to A, we have sold goods worth 45,000. So we will go to A's account. We will say to sales and we will say 45,000. B, we have sold goods worth 40,000. So in the B's account, we will go and post 40,000. And again, we will individually see that to Mr. D, we have sold goods worth rupees 1 lakh. So we will go to Mr. D's account and we will say to sales, right, 1 lakh rupees. Here the date of the transaction should be 18th March 19, right? So this is how the transaction flows. First, the recording will be done in the sales day book, and then from there the transaction will be posted to the ledger. Now we will see how this knowledge, right, will impact our rectification process. I have taken certain scenarios, right? First, look at this scenario. First, it says sales day book is undercast by rupees 5,000. Right? This word undercast and overcast, which you may hear while you're doing your chapter on rectification. Casting would mean totaling, right? When you say cast, it would mean totaling. Undercast means it has been short total, right? Undercast means it has been short totaled. Overcast means it has been totaled more, right? So undercast, short totaled, overcast, totaled more. So it says that sales day book is undercast by rupees 5,000. So instead of 185, we have totaled it at 180, right? Instead of totaling it at 185, we have totaled it short by 5,000, so the total is 180. Now, my question to all of you is that whether this is a single-sided error or this is a double-sided error. Please identify. If you are able to do this, right, our journey for rectification of errors will be absolutely smooth. Whether this error, right, our sales day book is undercast by rupees 5,000, a double-sided error or a single-sided error, right? You look at the flow of entries. See what will happen. Once we total this as 180, we will post in our sales account 180. Right, we totaled it short, so we'll post 180 to our sales account. So our sales account, sorry, our sales account is undercast by rupees 5,000. But will it impact my individual customers? The answer is no, because in A's account I will post 45, in B's account I will post 40, and in D's account I will post 1 lakh. Therefore, this is a single-sided error, right? Therefore, this is a single-sided error, because we don't post individual amounts to the sales account, right? We post the periodic total. So if there is a problem in the periodic total, only the sales account will get impacted, right? The debtors account will not get impacted. So this is a single-sided error, right? We are before preparation of trial balance, right? This is a single-sided error. So here, how do we rectify it? Right, on 31st March 19, we say by error of casting rupees 5,000, right, and this will become 1,85,000. We cannot pass a complete journal entry because there is no mistake in the debtors account. There is only mistake in the sales account, and since there is only mistake in the sales account, we will have to make a rectification statement, and this is our rectification statement on the appropriate side of the sales account. Are you absolutely clear about this concept? Then, and please remember, those of you watching this on YouTube, please ensure that you download this particular document from the description. Also, if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up, right? And please do subscribe this channel and also share with your friends, right? Next, we look at the next scenario. Sales made to Mr. A posted to his account as 54,000, right? Sales made to A posted to his account as 54,000. Let us see what is the amount of sales which has been made to A. See, the amount of sales which has been made to A is 45,000, right? We looked at 45, but we posted 54. Maybe there was an IPL match which was going on, right, and we were not fully concentrating on our accounting activity, right? We had recorded 45. Please remember, there is no problem in recording the entry. There's a problem in posting, right? That is why I was trying to differentiate between recording and posting. Here, there is no difference in the there is no, let's say, mistake in recording the entry. There is mistake in posting the entry. We have recorded 45, but we have posted 54. Again, my question, is it a single-sided error or is it a double-sided error? Obviously, it is a single-sided error. Why? Because there is no problem in the sales account, right? We have recorded 45 when the sales account has been totaled and the total has been posted to the sales account. The problem is with posting. Instead of posting the amount as 45, we have posted it at 54. Now, since it's a single-sided error and we need to make this, right, as 45, we need to post on the opposite side. We'll say by error of posting 9,000. If we post 9,000 on this side, 54 minus 9, it will become 45,000, right? So in this case also, it's a single-sided error, would only affect A's account. As the mistake is in posting the amount, there is no mistake in recording the amount, right? They have said that it has been incorrectly posted. So recorded is 45, posted is 54 in A's account. Another scenario, sales made to B was posted to the credit of his account. See, whenever we make sales, we debit our customer. So what we are saying is, by mistake, we haven't debited our customer, but we have posted on the credit side of our customer's account. Again, this is a single-sided error because there is no mistake in recording. There is no mistake in the sales account because in the sales account, the periodic total of the sales ledger will be posted. Here, the problem is only in B's account. In the B's account, right, instead of writing it on the debit side, we have written it on the credit side, right? So here we will say on 31st March 19, to error of posting we'll write 80,000. So 80 minus 40 will give us our desired balance of 40,000. So please remember, please be very careful while reading the sentence whether there's a mistake in recording or there's a mistake in posting. If there's a mistake in recording, right, more likely both the accounts will be impacted, because if it is recorded incorrectly, it will be posted incorrectly. But if it is a mistake in posting, then there will be a mistake in one account, right, where you have to post the entry, but not necessarily there will be mistake in another account as well, because as in case the total of sales will not be impacted by these posting issues, right, only the individual customer accounts will be impacted, right. Now let us start on with the rectification activity, right. We'll look at certain illustrations on rectification, right. See, please remember, here what we are doing is we are looking at two scenarios. What could be our impact when we say before trial balance the rectification will be done, and what will be our response when we say the rectification is done after trial balance. So for the same transaction, we will look at how the rectification will be done before trial balance and how the rectification will be done after trial balance, right. So let's look at it. We'll say sales day book overcast by rupees 10,000. See, when we say overcast means it has been totaled more. Please remember, whenever we say it is overcast, we mean that it has been totaled more. Whenever we say it is undercast, we mean that it has been totaled less, right. So sales day book overcast by 10,000. See, sales, the principal balance of sales is credit. It is overcast means it has been totaled more, right. The sales account has been totaled more. So if it has been totaled more, we need to reduce the amount in the sales account. And if we want to reduce our sales, we need to debit our sales account, right. We need to debit our sales account, because sales have a primary balance of credit, right. Sales is an income, it will have a credit balance. If the credit balance is more, we need to reduce the credit balance. How do we reduce the credit balance? We'll have to debit it, right. So see, before trial balance, see, this is a single-sided error, because whenever there's an error in casting, it will be in that account only. There's no problem with posting in the debtors ledger, right. There's a problem in casting the sales day book, so only the sales account will be impacted, right. The sales account is casted less, right. Sales account has been casted more, so we need to reduce the sales account. So if we need to reduce the sales, we need to record on the debit side of the sales account, right. So in the sales account, since we need to reduce our sales, we will say to error of casting rupees 10,000. How will you present this in your exam? Because you will not make ledger for each particular item in the exam, right. You need to write a rectification statement in your exam. So how we'll note it? We'll say in the exam our response will be, we will record a rectification statement on the debit side of the sales account, which will be to error of casting rupees 10,000. Absolutely clear about this. Once it is after trial balance, I have already told you that after trial balance there is no concept of rectification statement, right. All the errors have to be let's say rectified by passing a complete journal entry. If there is problem in only one account only, then there will be a suspense account in the trial balance, right. You will have to use the suspense account to pass the rectification entry. So here we have already decided that the sales account has to be debited because we want to reduce our sales. So here our entry after trial balance, the rectification entry will be sales account debit to suspense account, right. Sales account debit to suspense account 10,000. Just to clarify and clear your concept, I'll give a simple small example. Let's say we have said that our sales is more, right. Sales day book is overcast. So we have debtors, let's say 1 lakh. We have our sales. Sales is casted more, so it is more by 10,000. So sales is 110. So this debit and credit does not match. Here the debit side total is 1 lakh and the credit side total is 1 lakh 10. So to temporarily match the trial balance, we will have suspense account in place. Suspense account will have a debit balance. See, whenever we write suspense account and the amount is on the debit side, we say that the suspense account has a debit balance. That whenever it is on the credit side, we write suspense account, we say that the suspense account has a credit balance. So here the suspense account has a debit balance. Right, once we pass this entry, see, suspense account had a debit balance. Here we have credited the suspense account. So the suspense account becomes 0 and our sales also reduces by 10,000. Absolutely clear about this. Now we'll move on to the next one. We'll do it very fast now. Sales day book under cast. See, we know that sales will have a credit balance. Right, sales is under cast, means sales is less. If sales is less, we need to increase sales, and if we need to increase sale, we need to credit the sales account if we need to increase sales. So our entry here will be 2 sales because we need to credit the sales account, and since it's a single-sided error, right, we'll use the suspense account as the offset account to rectify this particular thing. Here also, we will say that we will write the rectification statement on credit side of sales account because we need to increase our sales. If we need to increase our sales, we need to write the rectification statement on the credit side of the sales account, which will be by error of casting rupees 15,000. Absolutely clear about how we are doing these rectifications. Then we'll say purchase day book overcast. See, purchase, when we talk about purchase, we all know that the principal balance of purchase is debit. It is say overcast, means it has been total more, so purchase is more. We need to reduce our purchase, and if we need to reduce our purchase, we need to credit our purchase account, right? If we need to reduce our purchase, we need to credit our purchase account. So we will say to purchase 7,000, since it's a single-sided error. Suspense account, because error of casting will normally be a single-sided error, and here we need to do a rectification statement on credit side of our purchase account, which will be by error of casting rupees 7,000. Clear? Then let's move on. We say purchase day book is undercast. Again, all of us know that purchase will have a debit balance, and undercast means it has been purchased short, it has been purchased less. So if it has been purchased less, we need to increase, and if a debit balance we need to increase, we need to further debit it, right? So in this case, our entry after trial balance will be purchase account debit 8,000 to suspense account 8,000. Here we will say that we'll do a rectification statement on the debit side of purchase account. We'll say to error of casting rupees 8,000. This is the rectification statement that we will record, right? We move on. Then we'll talk about sales return or return inward is overcast. Please remember, if sales has a credit balance, sales return is basically reversal of sales. So sales return will have a debit balance, right? So it says that it is more, it has been overcast. So if sales return is more, our objective is to reduce sales return. If we want to reduce sales return, we need to credit it. So after trial balance, we will say to sales return account debit account will be suspense account. This will be 12,000, right? And here we need to make a rectification statement on the credit side of our sales return accounts. On the credit side of sales return account, we'll say by error of casting, which is rupees 12,000. Absolutely clear. So while doing with these single-sided error, first identify the principal balance of that particular account. If we need to increase, do the principal balance only. If you need to reduce, or do the opposite of the principal balance. Again, sales return is undercast, means sales return is less. We know sales return as debit. Sales return is less, so what we need to do, we need to increase the amount in the sales return account, and if we need to increase, we need to debit the sales return account. So after trial balance, we'll say sales return account debit to suspense account, that will be 14,000, and here we need to do a rectification statement on debit side of our sales return account. So we'll say to error of casting, right? This will be 14,000. Absolutely clear on this. Then we'll talk about return outward. Return outward would mean purchase return. If purchase has a debit balance, purchase return is cancellation of our purchases. So the purchase return would have a credit balance. So here our purchase return would have a credit balance, and it is overcast. So it has been totaled more. So what we need to do, we need to reduce, and if we need to reduce, we need to debit it because the principal balance is credit. So here our entry after trial balance will be purchase return account debit to suspense account. Since these are all single-sided error, the offset account will be the suspense account, and here we will say rectification statement on debit side of our purchase return account. We will say to error of casting, amount will be 6,000. Absolutely clear about this. Finally, purchase return book is undercast. We all know purchase return will have a credit balance. Undercast means it is less. So if it is less, we need to increase, and if we need to increase, we need to further credit it, right? So we will say to purchase return $9,000. Offset account will be suspense account. Absolutely clear about this. And here we need to do a rectification statement on credit side of my purchase return account. We'll say by error of casting, amount will be 9,000. Absolutely clear. So this was specifically to deal with all the probable type of single-sided error, be it related to sales, purchase, purchase return, and sales return, right? Now let us have a look at certain more items. We say salaries paid rupees 10,000 posted to the salary account as rupees 1,000. Read this very carefully, because in this chapter, rectification of errors, the most important thing is your interpretation of the question. If you interpret and understand it correct, there is more likely chances that you will reach at the right solution, right? Salaries paid. How much did you pay? 10,000. Posted to the salary account as 1,000. Please remember, whenever you pay salary, where do you record it first? Cash book, because cash book is the book of primary entry. Have they done a mistake in recording, or have they done a mistake in posting? It's clearly evident that salaries paid 10,000, posted to the salaries account as 1,000. So please remember, please have a look at this. Let's say this is our cash book. In our cash book, we have by salaries. Right, in our cash book we have by salaries, we have recorded 10,000. But in our salaries account, from cash book we will post it to the salaries account. In salaries account we wrote to cash, we were again watching IPL, Kohli hitting a 6, and instead of recording 10,000 we have recorded 1,000. So please remember, that this is again a single-sided error where there is no mistake in the cash account, but there is mistake only done while we were posting the entry from the cash account to the salaries account, and right, it's a single-sided error. So salaries paid 10,000, posted to salaries account as 1,000. So see, this is a single-sided error. In case of single-sided error, before trial balance, we'll have to use rectification statement. So if we make our rectification statement, we'll have to say to error of posting, we'll say 9,000, and this will make it as 10,000, right? Absolutely clear about this. So before preparation of trial balance, we'll say rectification statement on debit side of salaries account to error of posting rupees 9,000 to make the total as 10,000. Absolutely clear about this. Now we'll talk about a scenario after trial balance. See what will happen right after trial balance. We have already said that there is no concept of rectification statement, right? In case after trial balance, right, there has to be a complete journal which needs to be passed. So whenever we're dealing with after trial balance, look at the impact, try to visualize the impact. Our cash account has been credited by 10,000, but our salaries have been debited only by 1,000, right? So on a debit credit scale, debit is 1,000 and credit is 10,000. So the moment this is done, there will be a suspense account which will come up for rupees 9,000, and here artificially we will tally our trial balance as 10,000, right? So we have a suspense account in place. Our salary should have been debited by 10. It is debited by only 1. So we need to debit our salaries account more, right? We need to debit our salaries account more. We need to debit it more by 9,000, right? So here what we will do, we will say salaries account debit, we will say 9,000. Since it's a single-sided error, we will say to suspense account 9,000. See, your suspense account had a debit balance. We credited the suspense account. Now the suspense account has been debit credit nullified, and we needed to increase our salaries by 9,000. That has been achieved by this entry. Absolutely clear about this. We'll see purchase repairs of 10,000 debited to plant account, right? So there's been repairs to plant, but we have debited it to the plant account. See, repairs is an expense. It is not a capital expenditure, right? So the correct entry here should have been repairs to cash 10,000. Wrong entry which we have done is plant and machinery to cash 10,000, right? So how do we do the rectification? Reverse the wrong entry. So cash to plant and machinery, wrong entry we have reversed. Then pass the correct entry. The correct entry is repairs 10,000 to cash 10,000, right? So cash debit, cash credit knocked off because we had to debit credit cash. We had already credited cash, so there was no problem in cash account, and our rectification entry becomes repairs account debit to plant and machinery. Absolutely clear about this. Then there is salaries paid debited to employees account. See, the correct entry should have been salaries to cash 15,000. The wrong entry which we did is we have debited employees personal account and we have credited the cash account. Right, now what we need to do, reverse the wrong entry. So we'll say cash to employee, salaries to cash. Right, there's no problem with the cash account, so the cash account debit credit nullified. Our rectification entry becomes salaries to employee. Absolutely clear about this? So rectification is easy provided you understand the question well, and then you know what is the correct entry, you know what is the wrong treatment which has been done. You will get your rectification entry automatically by reversing the wrong entry and passing the correct entry. Purchase of 10,000 from Mohan entered in the sales day book. See, actually this is a purchase. So for purchase we pass an entry, purchase account debit to Mohan account. But since this purchase has been recorded in the sales day book, it will go to the sales account, and from the sales day book it will go to the debit of Mohan account. So the wrong entry is Mohan to sales 10,000. How do we do the rectification? Reverse the wrong entry. So we will say sales to Mohan. Pass the correct entry. We'll say purchase to Mohan. Sales to Mohan is 10,000 and purchase to Mohan is also 10,000. So our final entry becomes purchase account debit, sales account debit to Mohan account 20,000, right? Purchase account debit, sales account debit to Mohan account 20,000, right? Next, a credit sales of rupees 5,000 to Shyam has been entered in the purchase day book. So a sale has been treated as purchase. So if it's a sale, the correct entry should have been Shyam to sales. The wrong entry which has been made is purchase to Shyam. Very easy to rectify. Reverse the wrong entry. So we'll say Shyam to purchase 5,000, and we'll say Shyam to sales 5,000, right? So here Shyam account will be debited by 10,000, 2 purchases 5,000 and 2 sales 5,000. Absolutely clear about this? Goods returned by Sunil 5,000 but not passed in the book. See, this is not rectification. This is a very easy scenario because this is omission, right? You need to rectify when you do something wrong. You have omitted. So in case of omission, correct entry is your rectification entry. Sales returned by Sunil 5,000 not entered in the book. So when we make sales, we credit the sales account. So if it's a sales return, we'll have to debit the sales return account. So here the correct entry is sales return account debit to Sunil account 5,000. There is no wrong entry, so your correct entry will become your rectification entry. A check of 10,000 received from Anil was dishonored but was posted to the debit of sales return account. See, whenever a check is dishonored, when you deposit the check, you will say bank to Anil. If it got dishonored, you will say Anil to bank. You will reverse that entry. So the correct entry in this case should have been Anil to bank for dishonor of check 10,000. The wrong entry which you have made is sales return to bank 10,000. Simple, reverse the wrong entry. So we will say bank to sales return and pass the correct entry. Correct entry is Anil to bank 10,000. You can see bank debit, bank credit. This gets knocked off because there is no problem with the bank account. In the correct entry, you should have credited the bank account. In the wrong entry also, you have credited the bank account. So a rectification entry becomes Anil account debit to sales return. Now we look at certain transactions which is after our trial balance. Here in the above scenario, whether you do it before trial balance or after trial balance is the same thing. But here there could be certain errors which could be single-sided error, right? So in case of single-sided error, before trial balance you need to do a rectification statement, but after trial balance, right, you need to do a complete journal entry. It is a one-sided error. You need to use a suspense account, right? So sale of an old furniture 3000 credited to the sales account as rupees 1000. So we sold an old furniture which was credited to sales account. See, sale of an furniture should not go to the sales account. Sale of an old furniture, the correct entry is cash to furniture. Right, we received 3000 and the furniture is gone. The wrong entry which happened was that sale of an old furniture credited to the sales account. So cash we got 3000, but while posting it to the sales account we credited 1000, right? So in this case there is a debit credit mismatch, right? The debit is 3000 and the credit is only 1000. So moment we'll make a trial balance, there will be a suspense account which will come up of 2000 because we are doing after trial balance, and moment we make a trial balance, if there is a debit credit mismatch, there will be a suspense account in place. So a credit balance has been created in the suspense account by 2000. How do we do the rectification? Simple, reverse the wrong entry. So wrong entry is my sales, suspense to cash. I have reversed the wrong entry. Sales 1000, suspense 2000, cash 3000. Pass the correct entry. Correct entry is basically cash to furniture. Cash to furniture, this is 3000, right? See the final impact here. There was no mistake in the cash account, so cash debit, cash credit has been knocked off. My final rectification entry works out to, sales debit 1000 because we had credited sales in the wrong entry, so we need to debit it. Suspense account debit 2000 to furniture account 3000. Absolutely clear about this, right? So very easy method. Let's move on to the next one. Credit sales to Ram 4000 posted to the credit of Raghav's account as 1000. First let us look at the transaction. Credit sales to Ram 4000. So the correct entry should have been Ram to sales 4000. Now let us understand what incorrect treatment have we done. Posted to the credit of Raghav account as 1000. So what we have done is, we have recorded sales of 4000. There is no mistake in sales. Instead of debiting it to the Ram's account, listen to this very carefully. Instead of debiting it to the Ram's account, we have credited it to Raghav's account, right? We have credited it to Raghav's account. So there is no debit, right? There is only credit which has been created. By this, once we make the trial balance, we will get a suspense account with a debit balance of 5000. Absolutely clear about it. Now the rectification is very simple. Reverse the wrong entry, pass the correct entry, you will automatically get your rectification entry. So how do we do this? We will say sales debit, we will say Raghav debit to suspense. Sales will be debited by 4000, Raghav by 1000 and suspense by 5000. Pass the correct entry which is my Ram to sales. Ram is basically 4000 and sales is 4000. Now we will see the net impact. See, there is no problem in the sales account, right? We have done appropriate treatment for sales, so sales debit credit knocked off. My final rectification entry becomes Ram debit because we had to debit Ram. We sold goods to Ram for 4000. Raghav debit by 1000 because we have incorrectly credited Raghav by 1000. To rectify it, we have debited Raghav account, and the difference goes to the suspense account, which is 5000. Absolutely clear on this. Then a credit purchase from Rahul 5000 was passed through sales day book. However, Rahul's account was correctly credited. So this is like we did a mistake, but then from that mistake we did something correct, right? So first, credit purchase from Rahul. So whenever there is credit purchase, we will say purchase to Rahul. So this should have been the correct entry. Now let us understand what incorrect treatment has been done. Credit purchase from Rahul has been passed through sales day book, right? So since it has been passed through sales day book, instead of recording purchase, we have recorded a sales of 5,000. However, Rahul's account is correctly credited. So instead of debiting Rahul, if we treat it as sales, we have correctly credited this Rahul account. So again, in this case, there are two credits, right? There are two credits we do not have. Right? There are two credits. We do not have any debit here. So there will be a difference in trial balance. We will say suspense account. There will be a suspense account of 10,000 which will be created. Now, it's simple to deal with it. Reverse the wrong entry and pass the correct entry. So we'll reverse the wrong entry. We'll say sales debit. We'll say Rahul debit. We'll say to suspense. Sales will be 5,000. Rahul will be 5,000. Suspense will be 1,000. And then purchase to Rahul. This will be 5,000 and 5,000, right? So here look at the combined impact, right? See here Rahul and Rahul is getting knocked off. Why? Because in the correct entry you should have credited Rahul. In the correct entry you should have credited Rahul. In the wrong entry also you have credited Rahul. So no mistake with Rahul. You should have debited purchase. So in the rectification, purchase is debit. You have wrongly credited sales. So to reverse the sales, you have debited your sales and the difference goes to the suspense account. Absolutely clear on this. Then wages paid for on installation of machinery 5,000 was posted to the wages account as 500. First, the correct entry wages paid on machinery should be machinery to cash 500. Now it says was posted to wages account as 50. See, there is no problem in recording. You have recorded 500 in the cash book. While posting it from the cash book to the respective ledger account, instead of writing 500, you have written 50. So here our wrong entry is wages 50 to cash 500, and thereby there is a suspense account or 450 which has been created. Thereby there is a suspense account of 450 which has been created. Reverse the wrong entry. So cash debit 500 to suspense 450 to wages 50, and then machinery 500 to cash 500, right? So now let us see cash debit, cash credit knocked off. Our final rectification entry becomes machinery account debit 500, suspense account credit 450 and wages account credit 50. Absolutely clear on this? Now we look at a scenario when we do the rectification in the next financial year, right? When we do the rectification in the next accounting year. See, we have said that the rectification will be absolutely same as after trial balance. The only difference being that if there is a nominal account involved in the rectification entry, what is the nominal account? Either there is an income or there is an expense. That in that case what you need to do is that the nominal account will be replaced or substituted by an account known as profit and loss suspense account, right? So let's start on with it. Sales of rupees 5,000, right? Sales of rupees 5,000 was posted to the credit of Mr. S. Sales of rupees 5,000 to Mr. M. So the correct entry here, the correct entry is M to sales 5,000. Wrong entry is was posted to the credit of S. So we did to sales, we recorded the sales of 5,000, and instead of debiting it to M, we have credited it to S. So by this there is no debit, so we have 10,000 in the suspense account because sales have been credited and the party account has also been credited, right? So here we'll do the rectification entry, reverse the wrong entry. So we'll say sales S to suspense, sales 5,000, S 5,000 to suspense 10,000, M to sales, which is the correct entry. Now let's look at the final impact. See, there's no problem with sales, so sales debit, sales credit knocked off. M account debit 5,000, S account debit 5,000 to suspense. Even if we are doing after the financial year, here there is no nominal account, no income and expense which has been involved in the final rectification entry. Therefore, we don't need to do any adjustment. Then freight paid on machinery 5,000 posted to the freight account as 6,500. Please look at the correct entry. Freight paid on machinery 5,000. So the correct entry is machinery to cash 5,000. Then they say was posted. So there is no problem in recording the entry in the cash book. The cash book has been recorded correctly at 5,000. While posting it from the cash book to the respective ledger, instead of posting it at 5,000, it has been posted at 6,500. So here our entry is freight debit 6,500 to cash 5,000. No mistake in recording. So there will be suspense account of 1,500. Now rectification is very simple. We'll say cash 5,000 debit, suspense 1,500 to freight 6,500. Correct entry machinery 5,000 to cash 5,000. Let us have a look at the net impact. Here cash debit, cash credit getting knocked off. Our final entry becomes machinery, suspense to freight. Now please remember freight is an expense, right? So this freight is a nominal account. It needs to be substituted by profit and loss adjustment account. So our final rectification entry will be machinery account debit 5,000, suspense account debit 1,500 to profit and loss adjustment account 6,500, right? Because freight is a nominal account, it has to be substituted by profit and loss adjustment account. Then let's move on to the next one. A sale of 573 was entered in the sales book as 753. It says entered in the sales book, means the recording is wrong. If the recording is wrong, if you record 753, obviously in the most likely case you will also post 753 to the customer account. A sale of 573 entered in sales book as 753 and posted to the credit of customer account. Instead of debiting it to the customer account, you have posted it to the credit of the customer account. So see, the correct entry here should be customer to sales, which is 573. The wrong entry, right? The wrong entry here should be to sales is 753. Instead of debiting, you have said to customer 753 and you have created a suspense of 1506, right, which is 753 plus 753. How do you do the rectification? We will see sales 753, customer 753 to suspense 1506, correct entry, customer 573 to sales 573. Now have a look at the final rectification entry. See, in this case, customer has been debited twice, one with 573 and another with 753. So 573 plus 753, our customer account has to be debited by 1326. Sale has a debit of 753 and a credit of 573. So 753 minus 573. So net debit in the sales account is 180 and we have suspense of 1506. Absolutely clear. So this is our final rectification entry. Clear? Now the final one in this series, discount received 1320 has been debited to discount allowed. See, how do you do the accounting for discount? Please remember that your discount is part of your cash book, right? In your cash book we have three columns. One is cash, another is bank, and then discount, right? Then again on the other side there will be cash, bank and discount, and the total of this discount column is posted, right? The total of this discount column is posted to the discount allowed if it is on the debit side of the cash book, and discount received it is on the credit side of the cash book. Please remember this before we do the discussion. Please keep this in mind. Discount received has been debited to discount allowed. So correct entry, see, we receive discount from our suppliers and we give discount or we allow discount to customer. So when we receive discount, it is our income. So we say discount received 1320 and supplier account has to be debited, right? The supplier account has to be debited because you receive discount while you make payment, na? So if I need to make payment to Sunil for, let's say, 5,000, I am making a payment of 4,500 and I have a discount receive of 500. So the net entry is Sunil to discount receive, which is supplier to discount receive. Clear? Now the wrong entry is has been debited to discount allowed. So we have debited to discount allowed, but it has not gone to our customer account because we just take the periodic total to the discount allowed account. Na? Has been debited to discount allowed. There is no problem with the supplier account. So supplier account has been appropriately debited as well, right? So here we have a suspense. We'll say 2. Suspense of 2640, right? Because discount allowed has been debited instead of crediting discount received, but there is no problem with supplier. Supplier account has still been debited. So here the rectification entry will be, we will say suspense debit 2640 to discount allowed to supplier, which is 1320 and supplier 1320 to discount received 1320. Here there is no problem with the supplier part. Therefore supplier debit, supplier credit knocked off. Our net entry, right? Our net entry becomes suspense account debit to discount allowed to discount received, right? So by this we are done with the conceptual portion of rectification of errors, as well as we are done with certain practical, very important practical illustrations as well.